Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is Joey at Charm City Collectibles, also known as Charm City Breaks. And in this video, we're going to be going over the National League Central for Bowman 2023. We're going to go over all of the guys that have first Bowman prospects, whether they have an autograph or not. In the NL Central, you're going to have the Chicago Cubs, Cincinnati Reds, Milwaukee Brewers, Pittsburgh Pirates, as well as the St. Louis Cardinals. But before we get into going over all the prospects, how about you guys hit the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up to like it, as well as that notification bell so you know whenever we drop more videos, as well as go live for breaks. If you want to get any baseball breaks, please join our Facebook group. It's Charm City Breaks on Facebook. Very easy to get. If you have any questions, you can either comment down below or you can find us on any of our social media. It's all at Charm City Breaks. Now let's get into the video. So we're going to start this video off with the Chicago Cubs using Beckett's checklist, which we're always going to use for any type of checklist-based videos. They do have some rookies in here with Nelson Velasquez and Christopher Morel. Not really of importance, as we're only looking for guys that have first Bowman. And they're going to have 4 prospects in the main checklist in Pedro Ramirez, Moises Ballesteros, Jefferson Rojas, and Matt Mervis. All 4 of these guys are going to have autographs in the product, as well as we're going to have some extra guys in the product that also have autographs like Ben Brown, Derniche Valdez, and Jackson Ferris. So that's going to be all of the autographs in the product for the Cubs. But let's go over the 4 guys that are in the main checklist first. Looking at Pedro Ramirez here, we have a guy that looks like he has a decent plate approach. He doesn't have a lot of power. He's a shortstop, 5'8", 165 pounds, playing single A in Myrtle Beach right now. Going over his profile, he's 21st in the Cubs organization. And just like I said, he's a pretty good bat-on-ball type of guy. Definitely does not have a lot of power based on these numbers. Good run, good arm, above average fielding. He's a switch hitter that has a compact swing. Overall, with some of the other Cubs guys that are in this box, he could be a nice guy to hold on to, or a nice little secondary or tertiary guy that you just kind of pick up by going after other guys like Matt Mervis that we talk about in a little bit. From there, we're going to go to Moises Ballesteros. He's a thick old boy at catcher, 5'7", 195 pounds, 19 years old, has a lot of pop in his bat. He's playing single-A affiliate Myrtle Beach right now. He tore it up in rookie ball when it comes to power with a good on-base percentage. He had 10 homers last year in 2022 between rookie ball and A ball. He signed a huge deal for $1.2 million. He's from Venezuela in 2021. That's when he signed. He signed the same year Christian Hernandez did, who's a little bit higher up on him, who's a little bit higher up in the pipeline for the Cubs, and he is 19th on the pipeline for Ballesteros. Overall, I just really think he's going to have a good amount of contact and power. With the 55 hit, 50 power. He's pretty slow at 20 run. He's going to have to work on his arm and his fielding a little bit at catcher to make it more feasible for him to move up. But with an 814 OPS so far this year and a 429 slugging, he does have some pop. I kind of like him as another guy that just kind of hold, 19 years old, could be very, very good at catcher. The next guy we're going to go over is Jefferson Rojas. He's a younger guy, 18 years old, only played in the Dominican Summer League last year, but batted .303 with 391 on-base percentage, 798 OPS. Didn't hit a lot of homers. He's not in the top 30. I don't know what his scout grades are, but he does look like he could have some potential, but we'll have to see. It's another guy that's kind of a hold if you're going after Mervis. I'm assuming for the Cubs because of Matt Mervis, and we're about to go over him right now. Matt Mervis is a pretty good story. He was drafted back in 2016, then went to Duke for 4 years, started out as a pitcher in college, switched over to hitting, and he's kind of just been mashing since he went back into the pros. He was in the 2020 draft, but went undrafted with the shortened 5 rounds, and ever since, and like I said, he's just been mashing in the minors. He's batted about 275 or so, but he has a 360 OPB, and he's hit 50 home runs in 3 years in the minors. He's a little bit older, though, 25, playing 4 years in college, and he is literally raking in AAA right now, batting 275 with a 402 on base percentage and a 953 OPS. The biggest downside to Mervis is he's old. I mean, he's 25 already. He'll probably get up in the league this year for sure. Him and Christopher Morel are definitely mashing. All the stuff I talked about, him being a two-way player at Duke, being a pitcher, that's all right here. But as you can see, the power at 60 is what really makes Matt Mervis one of the chases in the product for some people. I just think he's a little bit old. I don't think that he's as big of a chase as some people think if you think about it long term, because at his age, he's pretty much disqualified from making the Hall of Fame for baseball. He'd have to come in for like 10 years and hit 40 home runs every year. It's just not feasible in my personal opinion. He could be one of those guys, though, for like a year or two, like a Jake Cronenworth, where people are just all over his cards. So he could be worth chasing after. But for me personally, I don't think that he's a great chase. But some people really, really like Matt Mervis. You kind of have to decide if you want a guy that's going to be up this year that you can chase, that's going to hit a lot of home runs, or do you want to try to go after somebody else? He does have a lot of what I like to call backup players, a lot of young guys with a crap ton of talent, though, that are also on the Cubs checklist, which makes it a little bit easier to go after Matt Mervis. Speaking of another guy, this is Ben Brown. The Cubs did not originally draft him. The Phillies actually drafted him. He was involved in a trade that had David Robertson traded for Ben Brown. I mean, very, very good pitcher. He has more Ks than innings pitched. He has a .6 ERA right now this year. 22 Ks and 15 innings pitched with a .87 whip. Overall for his career, 283 strikeouts and 219 innings. So he has a very good arm. 6'6", 23 years old. He is 7th in their pipeline. I think you might see him at the back end of the year, maybe in the bullpen, kind of like whenever they brought up Garrett Crochet that one year for the White Sox. We could see a situation like that. However, there's a good chance that he doesn't get called up till next year, but he ends up being in the starting rotation that year. I do think that he is a very good pitching prospect, and we'll see how that turns out. Next, we have Dernishe Valdez. No information about him. Literally a 17-year-old teenager. Plays shortstop. There's a profile here. He's number 18th in the pipeline. And they're pretty much saying he signed for $2.8 million in the 2023 international class. I thought he was going to be a Bowman Chrome guy and not make it into this. And apparently the Cubs love him. And they really, really do think that he's going to be a fantastic player. That he's going to build out like a Starling Castro in size with a Hanley Ramirez production. I don't know if that's what you're going to get. I don't know if you're going to get a Hanley Ramirez. Overall, he's super young, man. This kid's just a long hold. Autograph only in this. I kind of like this pick. If you're looking at Matt Mervis and you end up with a Dernishe Valdez or a Ballesteros, I think you might be fine. On top of that, there's this other guy right here, Jackson Farrell, another guy that doesn't really have anything, was a second rounder, went to IMG Academy, 47th overall pick in 2022, and he's a guy 6'4", a lefty, has an amazing fastball. He signed for $3 million in the second round, so he's definitely going to get pushed up through the rankings for sure and have a lot of chances. And overall, he projects to be a very good left-handed pitcher. Jackson Ferris is another guy. The Cubs are just pretty deep in young talent behind Matt Mervis. So you can go after the guy that's going to play this year and get some instant reward as well as have some long holds if that's what you want to do for the Cubs. I think they're overall a very well-rounded team when it comes to, do I want to hold? Do I want to sell right away? Do I want to chase a guy that's going to be in the pros soon? I think they have a little bit of everything in their checklist, and I think that's pretty cool for the Cubbies. So we just knocked out the Cubs checklist. Let's move into the Cincinnati Reds checklist here. And essentially they have 4 guys with first Bowman cards in their main checklist, as well as they're going to have 4 guys with autographs. It's going to be the same 4 guys. It's going to be Ariel Almonte, Cam Collier, Carlos Jorge, and Hector Rodriguez. Let's start with Ariel Almonte here. Essentially he's in single A right now playing for the Daytona Tortugas. And he's a bat-on-ball kind of player. 231 batting average this year and 328 on-base percentage with a 713 OPS. He's only 19 years old, so he's up in A after only 2 years in minor league ball. 1 in the Dominican Summer League when he was 17, and then 1 in the Arizona Complex League when he was 18. He has a pretty good approach where he's going to have a nice differential of batting average and on-base percentage. The big thing about him that's actually going to make him probably move up the ranks is the fact that they spent a lot of money, $1.85 million, signing Almonte. He has pretty good above-average grades, hit power at 50, 45 run, 55 arm, and 50 fielding. He's an outfielder, so overall he's pretty well-rounded. So we're going to go there with Ariel Almonte, pretty decent hold if you're going over after Cam Collier, who's one of the top chases in the product. Next, we're going to have Hector Rodriguez, another guy that's at the single A affiliate, 19 years old. And he is not hitting so good this year. But previously, last year with 4 teams, he absolutely raked it. Rookie ball, then A&A. He originally was not with the Cincinnati Reds. He was originally with the Mets. Obviously, the Reds traded Tyler Naquin and Philip Deal to the Mets last year for Hector Rodriguez and Jose Acuna. So essentially, Hector Rodriguez came up as the Mets last year, but he actually played pretty bad with the Mets single-A team and played pretty good with the Red single-A team, and he's struggling a little bit to start the year this year. But he's a guy that is 26th in the pipeline. Overall, a little bit low, but he has a good run, and his hitting's not that great. The fielding and run is where he's really successful. He is an outfielder. We'll kind of see what happens with him. He is probably the 4th-ranked guy out of the 4 guys you have for the Reds. But once again, if you're chasing Cam Collier, having 3 guys behind him that have autographs is pretty nice, as well as their first Bowman. Getting into Carlos Jorge, also another guy that's single A. Another guy that did really well previously in rookie ball. Bumped from rookie ball to A ball, which is obviously common, but he played same kind of formatting here with the Dominican Summer League and then the Arizona Complex League. He did really well in those 2 leagues with his on-base percentage. Another guy with a good approach, has a little bit more pop than the last 2 guys we talked about. He is going to play second base. On the scouting report, he doesn't have this good a pop, but it seems like the numbers show otherwise, where he had a couple home runs. He had some nice doubles, but for the scouting report, for whatever reason, he has 45 power. He's 15th in the organization. Doesn't have a great arm, but doesn't need to at second base. Has above average fielding. He is a guy that they didn't sign for that much, less than $500,000, but he obviously crushed in the Dominican Summer League with a 1.015 OPS. That's why I said it seems like he has a little bit more power than what they give him scouting report-wise. Another guy, though, behind Cam Collier that you could get a first Bowman autograph, some insurance, I should say. Then we have the guy that everyone's chasing on the Reds, Cam Collier. He absolutely raked last year in rookie ball. He's in single A with the other 3 guys, so you get a bunch of Tortugas. That's what you're talking about. You're getting the Turtles in Daytona. And really, he is just a kid that absolutely mashed, graduated high school early to play some JUCO. And he was a monster in 9 games last year in rookie ball with a 1.144 OPS. This year in, I would call, big boy teenage ball or single A, he has a 241 average with a 405 on base percentage, a 345 slugging. So he's having a little bit of trouble hitting the ball hard right now. But he does have a great plate discipline with a 405 on base percentage with a 241 average. That's pretty good. Looking at it, he is the 4th overall prospect in the Reds pipeline. He was selected 18th overall, and they signed him way over slot at $5 million, where, like I said, he went mashed in the rookie level Arizona Complex League. He has a 60 hit, 50 power, so he's going to be more of a base hitter than a power guy, but he still has some decent pop with that 50 power scouting rating. 55 overall. He is, only behind 3 of the best guys in all of minor league baseball with Ellie De La Cruz, Noel V. Marte, and Edwin Arroyo. Overall, the Reds are one of the best teams to chase. 4 guys with first Bowman autographs, and Cam Collier is one of the top 5 guys in the product to chase after. He's just going to be an amazing hitter. Very, very smooth left-handed swing. From the Reds to the Brewers, we have a team that has a pretty deep base checklist, but only has 2 autographs and only has 1 guy that has an autograph from the base checklist, and that's Jace Avina. The other guys that have first Bowman in this are going to be Daniel Galarte, as well as Luis Laura, Dylan O'Ray, and Jace Avina. Obviously, we already mentioned Avina right there. We're going to get an extra guy that's not on the base checklist, Matthew Wood, that is autograph only for the Brewers. Let's get into Daniel first here. The shortstop that has a 278 average with a 391 on base percentage and 724 OPS. He is going to be playing single A right now at 19 years old, a Venezuelan, up at number 16 in the organization. And single A is doing pretty well. He signed for $1 million out of Venezuela. Originally, I think this guy was going to be the cream of the crop for the team, but Jackson Churio obviously is the cream of the crop for that 2021 international pool. But I think originally Daniel Gilarte was actually up for grabs with that whenever they drafted him. Has a good run, great arm, good fielding. He's a terrific shortstop defensively, bat on ball kind of guy with not a lot of power upside. But shortstops don't need to hit for a lot of power. As long as they're smooth fielders, they can make it up in the league if they can get around that 300 average and somewhere in the mid-threes on base percentage. And I think that Daniel Gilarte can give the Brewers that long term. Let's move on to Luis Lara, another guy that does not have an autograph here. 260 average, 341 on base percentage with a 726 OPS. Had a couple dingers in the Dominican Summer League for the Brewer 1 team. He is 14th in the pipeline. He signed for $1.1 million. And honestly, another guy puts the bat on the ball, great run, great field, doesn't have a lot of power, 5'7", 155 pounds. The Brewers seem to do this a lot with these guys that are in Bowman for this go-around. We're going to move on from him to Dylan O'Ray, another guy, bat on ball, 308 average with a 424 on base percentage with an OPS of 732. Played in the Arizona Complex League. He was a third rounder in 2022, 5'7", 160 pounds. No picture of him, but another guy, very good run, stole a lot of bases from Canada, even though he got drafted. He's not an international signing when it's Canada. That's left for like Latin American countries, essentially. And he's just a good contact guy. Stole a lot of bases whenever he was playing for the junior national team for the Canadians. And then a 70 run, that's amazing. Good hit at 50. The arm's not great, but he is a shortstop, so he doesn't need to have necessarily a cannon, but good smooth fielder, a lot of wheels. 19th in the Brewers organization. Another guy that's kind of just nice to pick up, even though he doesn't have an autograph. Getting into 2 guys with autographs, we have Jace Avina, who was kind of a surprise last year in rookie ball as he won the MVP of the Arizona Complex League with 10 home runs, a 294 average, 436 on base percentage, and a 1.066 OPS. In single A that last year, he didn't do as hot with a 245 average, 336 on base percentage, and an 807 OPS. He still hit 5 home runs, though. And this year, he's hit 2 home runs already in 12 games. I'm not sure how I feel about their actual scouting of this guy. They only have him as a 40 hit with 60 power. His power is high at 60. He's a guy that's going to hit dingers. He could be a sleeper. I'm probably going to add him on my sleeper list, to be honest, as a guy that on a lower team in the Brewers could be a good guy to go after, as he was a 14th rounder that was originally committed to playing at the University of Nevada, decided to change his mind and got some sixth round money as a 14th round pick. And he was just, like I said, surprising that he won the league MVP for the Arizona Complex League. I think that he could have a lot of upside, especially power-wise. He's 5'11", 180. That's pretty well built. 60 power rating on the scouting. I think this could be a guy that's a nice sleeper in the box for anybody chasing the Brewers. Then we're going to go to Matthew Wood. He's a little bit older, was a 4th rounder in 2022. And he's hitting pretty well this year so far. 324 with a 468 on base percentage, 982 OPS in single A. He's a catcher. I'm assuming that some of those numbers are going to go down a little bit. But even last year, in 2 games, he only batted 200. So you just never know in rookie ball. But then he bumped up to A, had 324, 468 on base percentage in 11 games. I get these are small sample sizes. There seems to be a decent amount of potential there. He is 27th in the organization. He played really well in the Big Ten as a sophomore and junior playing for Penn State. He has a 50 hit, 45 power, 30 run, 50 arm, and 45 fielding. He has a very good arm for a catcher. The only thing is they're a little bit logjammed with some catchers. He could be a nice guy to stash away, though, for autograph if you're chasing some of these other guys in the Brewers. The Brewers are a team that have a lot of upside for not that much big of a price. I think they're not that one of my chase teams, but they do have Jace Avina, who I think a lot of people are sleeping on, which could be kind of nice for the price of the team right now. Just finish up the Milwaukee Brewers, moving on to the Pittsburgh Pirates here, and they have a decent prospect checklist in the sense of it has some girth on it right here, but there's really only 3 guys that are getting their first Bowman. Braylon Bishop, Tony Blanco Jr., who's a non-auto player, and Jace Bowen. You're only going to see Braylon Bishop and Jace Bowen have their first Bowman. Tamar Johnson does have some second year autographs for minor league prospects here. So there's a little bit of value in the Tamar Johnson. Henry Davis has some autographs sprinkled throughout this as well. But we're going to go over Braylon Bishop to start. He's not a top 30 prospect for the Pirates. He really doesn't hit well. He's a 14th round pick from 2021. I really am not so sure about this guy in general. This is probably the first year where the Pirates are not super expensive, like first product of Bowman in a couple years, where they're not that pricey. Because even in 2022 Bowman, they weren't necessarily the priciest, but they had a lot of autographs, and people realized they had a lot of autographs with guys that were moving up the pipeline. And there was a guy named Jack Sawinski that was in there as well. So that made him a little bit more valuable. But Braylon Bishop, I'm not really sure about him. I think this is just a guy maybe just hold on to if you get one. He's a little bit old, though, at 20 years old, to be popping in rookie ball a couple times. He is playing A-ball this year, batting 111. That's just not the sexiest looking numbers. Then we're going to have Tony Blanco, a 17-year-old. Now, this is a kid that could be very, very good. 6'6", 243 pounds. That's a big boy. I was going to say he did play in the Dominican Summer League, which makes me think that he got signed internationally, but he was born in Boston, Massachusetts, so that's interesting. He only played 8 games in the Dominican Summer League last year. We'll see what he does this year. I'm assuming they're going to bring him domestic to play in the Florida Complex League, but we will see. Overall, an unknown, but could, based on size alone, be much more valuable than what everybody thinks he is. So this is a guy I would just stash if I got the Pirates in any break. Moving on to Jace Bowen. He's actually having a very good year in A+. He is 22 years old. Was an 11th round pick. He has an autograph in the box. Average of 333 right now with a 400 on base percentage and a 1.067 OPS. I'm assuming these numbers are going to go down a little bit because he didn't bat that great last year. But he has a semi-decent approach from what it looks like. It looks like he does have some pop. He had 17 home runs last year. That is quite a bit in the minors, even if you're playing rookie ball and single A. He played A and A plus hitting 17 dingers last year. So there's a chance that he has some good pop, could have a pretty high power rating number for scouting. Might be a guy that's just worth holding on to see what happens. He is a second baseman, though. You have to remember Tamar Johnson plays second base. Nick Gonzalez plays second base, shortstop, third base. So he's kind of blocked right now. And at 22, he might be a little bit old by the time he gets in the league. 3 years from now, we'd be talking about a Matt Mervis situation or something like that. Overall, the Pirates, first time, like I said, they've not had an absolute loaded checklist. It is loaded with Tamar Johnson and Henry Davis. It does have 2 rookies that I need to mention, and that's Smith-Jigba as well as Liover Peguero. Cannon Smith-Jigba has a chance to be very good. He's playing in the outfield right now for the Pirates. Liover Peguero is playing all over the infield for the Pirates as well. 2 guys that might be holds. They're a little bit younger, have some decent potential as rookies for the Pirates. But overall, this is one of the weaker times the Pirates have been in a Bowman box in a while. So let's rejoice for the Pirates. They're playing well. Their team isn't that much for some Pirates fans that just want to collect some baseball cards of young guys. You got a chance with this. Let's keep it moving and move on to the St. Louis Cardinals. We're going to wrap up the NL Central with the St. Louis Cardinals. And what I will say, probably the biggest chase for the Cardinals is going to be Nolan Gorman, the way he's tearing the cover off the ball in Major League Baseball. He does have rookie autographs in this, as well as rookie cards in the checklist. As you can see, number 6 in the base veteran checklist. Moving on to the Bowman prospects, there is a guy with an autograph, though, and that's going to be Samil De La Rosa. We have Luis Rodriguez, no autograph, 301, 347 on base percentage with an 820 OPS, 4 dingers at catcher, 6'1", 210 pounds, so a thick old boy, 18-year-old, played in the Dominican Summer League as a rookie last year, not in the top 30 for the Cardinals, so there's not much more known about him other than this, and he plays catcher, obviously right-handed throwing, right-handed batting. Let's get into the guy that has an autograph in his first here. It's Samil De La Rosa. 241 average with a 345 on base percentage, 792 OPS. He's played 2 years, 1 league year in the Dominican Summer League, where he tore the cover off the ball, had 1 home run. Last year he played in the Florida Complex League, domestic ball, and he had 6 homers, batted 241 with a 345 OBP with a 792 OPS. Could have some decent potential. He plays third base, 5'8", 175 pounds. So it seems like he's pretty well built as well, but a little bit shorter. Either way, this is the autograph. If you're trying to get Nolan Gorman rookie autographs, Could be a pretty decent chase since they don't have the best prospects. We've talked about him numerous times, and we have to give some credit to the Chrome rookie autographs here. Nolan Gorman, he's going to be a chase. That wraps up the NL Central, boys. I appreciate you guys watching. You guys have a good day. Be safe. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with anybody that collects Bowman or wants to just learn about the prospects that are in 2023 Bowman. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you. Talk to you guys later.